I'm gonna unmute myself. Let's go. Fast forward your future. Day one. Today, I've been like, I literally woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, ready to meet with you to talk about really the main thing we're talking about today, which is how do you unleash your brain to actually allow success? Super vital that you do this because here's what is so important. If you are trying to accomplish something big, if you're trying to create a dream, I know you know it, the quarter is ending. That's why the next 9 days we're going to be spending with each other, really unpacking how do we get speed in accomplishing goals. You're going to find out why it hasn't gone fast for you. You're going to find out why you've been in that situation time and time again where you've set the goals and you've been optimistic and you've been full of hope. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it just hasn't happened. And you start feeling so discouraged. You start feeling like, man, what do they know that I don't? And you start to get really down on yourself and feel like maybe I can't do it. And then you shortchange your dreams. You shortchange the goals to safe goals. You go from SMART goals, which is a broken system, to safe goals because you don't want to feel like you're putting in all of you and having it not return. So I'm Dr. Shannon. If we don't know each other, if you're jumping in for the first time and you're like, oh my gosh, she is on fire. Yeah, I am on fire for you because today is going to be so powerful. Honestly, it's my favorite day of this live event because you start to learn how to teach, how to show, how to unhook your brain from the hamster wheel that keeps you going slow and really gets you tapped into how your brain allows success to go fast. Now, let me tell you how the next 9 days, I'm literally going to be with you for 9 days of this event. This event is for you. We are diving deep today into how to unleash your mind to allow success. Tomorrow, I'm going to be unpacking a system that is going to allow you to literally collapse time, take a year's worth of goals and accomplish them in 67 days. We'll talk about that in a minute and why you haven't heard about it up till now, why you're using SMART goals, and that's an old system. We'll talk about all that. And then I've got a special guest for you on Wednesday, breaking down the like, how does $1 million business owner really think? Like, what kind of things are they marinating in on a daily basis? How are they receiving bills? How are they? So she's going to be diving into that. That's Sarah Cannell. And then we'll be back together on Thursday where I'm actually showing you the clarity roadmap, like literally your specific steps on how to accomplish this goal that you have, that you set in January, that you were so excited for. And then now we're coming to the end of the quarter and you're starting to beat yourself up for it. And I'm just curious, who are my people with like kids or family or people like relying on you? Say me in the chat. We're going to be talking back and forth together a lot. So please make sure you talk to me because that's the only way I'm going to know who you are and can serve you so deeply. But where are my family, like my parents at, my caregivers that are caring for nieces and nephews? And you guys know, like, summer's coming. I'm getting the emails already that are saying like 9 weeks and the end of the year. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And I'm like, okay, quarter's ending, summer's coming. It's time for you to actually have a system of clarity that lets you know exactly what steps to take to make sure your dream becomes a reality. Not just motivation and inspiration. Because although I love motivation and I love inspiration, I like the steps to actually accomplish it fast. Right? Steps, if you're like, that's what I need. If I just had the steps to get to what I wanted, I'd already have it done. So write steps if that is you. And then next week, we're going to have a special guest, Rex Crane, that's going to be talking about removing your limitations. I'm going to actually teach you how to remove your limitations completely from your brain so you never access them again. We're going to be doing some powerful things. All right. So I am curious in the chat. Let me pull the chat up because I've got that going there. All right. So yeah, actually, see, you and I, we are like the same people. Like, just give me the steps. Give me the how-to. And I will crush it. Can I get an amen for that? Like, I'm a decently smart person. That's not ego. That's just like, I do things. I'm a doer. Are you a doer? Like, just give me the steps and I know what to do. But you always feel like, gosh, like there's something and you can't put your finger on it. There's something missing. You ever feel that way? Like there's got to be some secret, like they're behind the scenes and they're not sharing with anybody that makes it all work, or a puzzle piece that you're missing. And how you know you feel this way is because you're buying strategy after strategy, tactic after tactic, and you're feeling like if I just had that step or that clarity of what to do, I know I could do it. And they've got it, but our brain wants to go for strategy instead of unleashing that part of our brain that allows the success to happen. Yeah, you feel like something, I'm looking at the comments, you feel like something is holding you back. So let me get into a little information about what's going to go on. If we don't know each other, my name is Dr. Shannon, and I help people like you literally train your brain to allow success and create a year's worth of goals in 67 days. My background is as an entrepreneur, I'm a person of faith, and I'm just the one that was desperate enough to go get a PhD in psychology, focusing on how the brain creates success. And what I found in those rooms actually hacked my limiting beliefs, actually hacked my blocks, actually hacked that feeling of not knowing what to do. And my business went from a struggling business to a multi-six-figure business in 67 days. And I am not a special unicorn. Here's what I want you to know. Is there something you would love to see happen that you've put as a goal for the next year, but you'd really love to see it happen faster? Write in the chat, what is that? What is that one thing that in January you were so hyped up for and you're like, this is my year. It's going to happen this year. And you put it in your measurable, smart goal system, specific, measurable, obtainable, all the things. And you wrote it down and you were full of hope. We were just talking. I want you to, in the chat, to tell me what that was. In the chat, tell me what that was. Now, we were just talking in VIP room. VIP, that was pretty fire, right? Where we were talking about like, okay, I am not where I want to be right now, but I've had all that stuff happen and I was so hopeful in January, but here I am and the end of the quarter's here and I'm feeling discouraged. I'm feeling discouraged. And I'm going to help you see why all of these years, maybe it's been a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, that you've been trying to accomplish things and it just hasn't had speed to it. It hasn't clicked. It hasn't moved fast. And I'd love for you to write the word speed if you're like, I really want to go fast, right? Because right now, I don't know if you've noticed, but AI is speeding things up. AI is starting to make things go a lot faster. Like literally over the weekend, I wrote 40 emails with 3 prompts on ChatGPT. I got 55 hooks. If you know what that is, if you're in the online business, by asking it one question. So we used to be in an economy that was industrial. Then when we moved to the like internet digital age economy. Now we're in, I just want to call it speed economy. It's when things are multiplying so fast. And here's what I need you to know. It's not your fault that it hasn't happened yet. I want you to hear that from the bottom of my heart. This, I feel, is my calling in life, is for number one, for you to realize this. Number two, for you to understand what is the system that works. And number three, for you to accomplish a year's worth of goals in 67 days. And then continue on so that dreams become reality, so that legacies get created, so that generations shift. I don't know about you, but our family line was going this way. And by the grace of God and by the call on my life, I started to say, God, I trust you. And then I went and learned how the brain wires success. And I said, oh my gosh, I got to let everybody know. And now speed is happening. The generation is shifting and people are no longer going this way in our lineage and the generations that's coming after me, they're going this way. Who in here, right? Generation. If you're like really not, yes, of course you want results, but you want results because you want to create a generational shift that changes things. And VIP, you guys are on fire over here, so I got to move the chat up so I can still see everything. There we go. So generational shift, okay? So why isn't it your fault? Like, you're the one doing this thing, the one dreaming. You're the one that God put the desires in your heart for, right? So why isn't it working? Well, here's what I need you to know. And we dove deep on this, and I'm going to throw a couple links before I actually tell you the reason. But once you hear this reason, it's all going to click for you. And then we're going to spend the rest of this morning talking about what do you do with that. But here's what I want you to know. If you're hearing us live somewhere and you're not in this live event, you're not signed up for this live event, then you want to get signed up for this live event, because we're going to be doing some incredible training over the next 9 days, and you're going to become so unleashed that your life will not be recognizable at the end. And speed is going to be what you're hooked to, instead of hooked to an old broken system. So make sure you get signed up at 67daystosuccess.com if you're not already. Now, a lot of you are already signed up right now. I really want you to be in the VIP room. We're meeting 30 minutes beforehand, and we're doing live hot seat coaching. Now, not everybody is over here, but I'd love to hear VIP. Was this morning worth coming 30 minutes early for? Tell me in the chat. Okay, that chat and the high fives are going crazy. Was it worth being here? Was it worth hearing about, like, how do we shift our thoughts? All right, VIP are all saying yes, 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 yes. Lots of fire emojis. So I'd love for you to be in VIP, and they're going to pop the link in for that. We're going to do VIP all this week. So if you want to get personally coached by me in the VIP room with a group of amazing go-getters that are going to change the world, make sure you up level to VIP.com. All right, so I'm just throwing those links out there so you've got it. Okay, so here's why it's not working for you. Just make sure I have my notes so that I don't miss anything for you. The system you've used to dream. Now, I'm a person of faith. I'm always going to talk through that lens. All right, you do you, I'll do me, but God plants a desire in your heart, right? So why is it that we have different desires? It's because that's our calling. Like, that's it. And by the way, your calling grows. So your calling might be this, and then you accomplish that, and then you get revealed the next level. I remember when I was, starting out just coaching people, and then I hacked this system, and then some of these people I was coaching offline, their businesses went from 6 to 8 figures in 67 days. My business went through the roof. And why? Because we finally figured out how to unleash our brain to allow success. That's what we're talking about today. But here's the thing. Were you taught? I want you to write, I know I wasn't taught in the chat. If you were not taught that in school, were you taught how to unleash your mind from the toggle switch of survival to the toggle switch of success? Because if not, then unfortunately that toggle switch is off, and all of the things, the busy things that you're doing right now are actually like a big tug of war, tugging you in the opposite direction of your dreams, leaving you tired, overwhelmed, procrastinating, feeling like you have to make it perfect. Those are all defense mechanisms your brain is throwing at you, trying to help you play small and align with the past. Now, here's what I need you to know. Those systems that you've been using to accomplish your goals, smart, specific, measurable, you know what I'm talking about. You sat down maybe in December, possibly the first week of January, and you started writing everything out, and you gave all the things that you knew, and then you closed the book. That system was originally designed by the leader of one of the biggest manufacturing facilities in the pre-industrial age, and its aim, its focus, its reason for existing was to get the employees in the industrial factories to be able to make more of the products that they needed to sell. Let me paraphrase what I just said. The system that you're using, that people are still saying is the best way to set goals and accomplish them, is actually designed to make you a great employee in the industrial age. And so you wonder, why am I using this old, broken, antiquated system? And you kind of have known this because you like get that big high in January and then you're feeling great. And then all of a sudden mid-February comes and you're like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? It's because your brain doesn't align with what you want. It aligns with the past. Who just had an aha? Write aha in the chat. Who just like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense now. I can see why, because I'm going to be real. You don't have to comment on this, but I know it because I did it. Where's my things? Okay, I'm going to use this. I'm pumped up for you guys. So imagine this. This is my goals, right? And I'm writing them down in January, and I'm writing them all down: specific, measurable, attainable, all those things, right? And what do we do on January 2nd? Where'd our goals go? Brain's not looking at them anymore. Well, I had an interesting opportunity not too long ago to speak to a room of 8-figure real estate agents, not agents, but investors. These are people that their income was 8 figures, not 8 figures in business. Like that's their take home pay was 8 figures. So I was talking to them about how to train your brain to remove limitations. We're going to talk about that on Thursday. How to train your mind to allow success, how to create what we're calling a brain prime. You're going to learn all this. That's why you got to be here live with me every day, because you're going to learn things that you should be being taught, but no one else is talking about. So I'm sitting here and I'm like talking with this 8-figure group, and we're helping them build a brain prime, and we're removing some limitations with something we call our mind matrix in our sync coaching model. And as we're breaking this down, they're like, wow, this is really great. This is amazing. Well, what I didn't know is that Damon John, you guys know who Damon John is? Say Damon if you know who Damon John is. Like write Damon in the chat. Write Damon in the chat. So like Damon John, who I love him. Like he is just gritty, and he like, I don't know, he just like does it. You know what I'm saying? Like he just goes out and creates things that haven't been created, stands in a place against things that he really could have fallen from, right? He came from a really challenging area where he grew up, all that. Anyway, his story is amazing. You should look him up and listen if you don't know who he is. He's the creator of FUBU originally, and then he's just a Shark Tank investor, all that. So he came after me. I didn't know that was going to happen, but here comes Damon John. And y'all, he's looking at me. I'm going to like do it. Like he's walking up and he's looking at me like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, did I like offend him? Like, what did I say? Oh my goodness. And he walks up and he gives me a hug, and then he pulls back. Have you ever had somebody do that? Hug you and then pull back and like look at you? Like he was looking right at my face. I'm like, this is really intimate. Okay, this is crazy. I'm like, what did I say? And then he gets up there to speak to this group, and he says, I've never heard what I did to become successful be explained and crafted in a step-by-step system that you just learned. He said, I'm about to tell you my life story, but I'm going to tell you that, and he said, the brain priming thing she talked about, I did that. You know, the mind matrixy thing she talked about, that's how I got over my limitations. Do that stuff, because that means you can create a life like this. This is why I'm sharing this with you. There are a lot of really successful people that accidentally learn how to unleash their mind to allow success. And that's what we're deep diving in today. Here's my number one request from you right now. I want to know if you're ready to ditch the old broken system and learn what actually works in a speed economy with AI, with any economic. How about creating your own economy? So here's the thing. If you're committed to letting go of that old model and learning what works now, I want you to write that I'm going to create my own economy. Tell me that in the chat. I'm going to create my own economy. That's my way of knowing. When I look back through the chat after we're done, that's my way of knowing you're ready to say the old way doesn't work. Maybe it worked at one point in time, but it doesn't work anymore. And here's what here, if I can get across the screen to you and just put my arms around you, I'd say, listen to me. You're so smart. If that worked, you'd have everything you possibly could want. everything because you're so smart. That's what I know about you. You're so smart, but using a system, being the smartest person, but using a broken system is like using a broken tool. It's really almost nearly impossible to make it work. So knowing how smart you are, if you're willing to create your own economy, I'm looking, let me see. Are you going to, see, like, I'm looking. Okay. So a lot of you are. And by the way, I'm using a system called StreamYard. If you haven't given them permission with your name, which is fine, some people don't want to do that, tell me your name so I know who I'm talking to. Because otherwise on my side, all I see is Facebook user, and that's not you. You actually have a name, and I want to serve you deeply. So make sure you do that. So we're going to unhook from an old broken system that created great employees in the industrial era, allowed them to create more widget and more widgets and more widgets. I don't know about you, but in my dreams, in my heart of hearts, in my legacy that I want to create for my children, it's not creating more widgets. It's not creating more for some antiquated system. It's to create financial freedom so that my children live a different life than I have. Anybody else want to see their children have a different life than they have, to know what's possible, to be tired, to be done with, like done with the feeling of not knowing, like the bills come and you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Like, God, I just want financial freedom so that I can just pay these things and create and be generous. And we're going to talk about generosity. I'm tempted to go left instead of staying on topic. So the reality is, a lot of you know, if you've been in my community for a while, you know, we've been running a charity for 18 years in Uganda called Mosaic Vision. Helps kids who've lost mom and dad to AIDS in Uganda. We started out just donating a little. And then we started out taking over the entire administration, because the more money I make, the more impact I can have. Who needed to hear that today? The more money I make in my business, the more I'm serving, the deeper I go, the more I impact, the more I can create change in a country that is 7,518 miles away. The more money I make, the more impact I can have, the more orphans get more resource. So now we cover all the administrative. So if somebody sponsors an orphan, 100% of that goes. Do you know, in a day and age where nonprofits manipulate their books and they say 25%, but really only 20% goes? So I'm able to be more generous. What is it that financial freedom makes happen for you? Tell me in the chat. What do you want? I get so wound up because I want to be sitting in a room with you and saying, like, what is it that you want? We were in VIP, we were talking about this. A lot of you are, it's like, I want financial freedom. What? So that it creates what for you? What are the desires of your heart? The thing that you keep putting on the goals again and again and again. And what is it that you were created for? I want you to take a moment. I'm going to take a drink of water. In the chat, tell me what it is that you want. Is it financial freedom? Is it to be able to be with my kids and be at everything that they're at? Is it location freedom? Is it so that you can start a nonprofit and make a difference in the world? What is it for you that you're really, the thing is about the thing, right? I want to create this so that this can happen, so that my children can watch and know that anything's possible. What is that for you? I'm going to take a drink. I want you to write that in the chat. And as you're writing that, I want to focus on one thing. Now, we're at about 23 minutes in. Tomorrow, I'm going to be breaking down how to create a year's worth of goals in 67 days. You're going to want to be there alive. And I'm going to show you, you're going to be doing an activity tonight. I call them like daily activities. I'm not going to call them homework. I am not your teacher. I am just someone who's walked before you. And I'm going to give you some action steps to take that's going to accelerate your win. So, right, accelerate your win. If you want to accelerate your win, you're going to do those steps. One of the things that I notice a lot of people will say is, I want more financial freedom. I want a 6-figure business. I want a 7-figure business. But when we start to unpack that, is it really that you want the money sitting in your bank account? Like, are you just in love with numbers? Like, you want to just look at those numbers and you just love them so much and you just want to, like embrace them and dance with them. And I don't think so. What does the number sitting in your bank account create? And most of the time when we're talking about that, it relates to the time that it makes available. Because money, I'm going to give you hundreds of ways to make more money. Those that are in my certification, they get way after way after way after way. Those that are in my 6-figure coach, I actually walk them through it. There's millions of different ways to make more money once you believe that you can. And that's what we're going to unhook from today and tomorrow and over the next 9 days. But really, what are you saying? I want to be able to be with my people. I want to be able to go when I want to go. I want to be able to think when I want to think. I don't want to have to physically be somewhere unless I decide to physically be there. Then I want that. And we have this money equals freedom in our brain taught to us from very, very young. So let me jump into the chat, because as you're thinking about ending the quarter is coming, summer's coming, the quarter is ending. We have 9 days together. My guess is you're going to start accelerating so fast in the next 9 days that you're going to want to, when we offer to open the doors to 67 days, years, you're going to want to be a part of that. We'll offer that sometime during this. That's not what this is about today. Today, it's about seeing what hasn't worked and realizing you're using something that just does not work. And as you're thinking about what you want and what you desire, the desire of your heart and the legacy you want to create and all of this, yes, it's money, but I doubt you're in love with the bank account statement. It's more about what that money can create in terms of time. Now, I'm going to really fight back some tears, and I'm not much of a crier, but I've got a freshman and a 6th grader, which means I have 3 years with my oldest left. I've got 7 years with my youngest, tops, because they're leaders. So they're not going to be like hanging around mom I just know it. So what does that mean? I need time with them. I need them to not hear what I'm saying anymore, but watch what I'm doing. For them to know anything is possible, they need to see me doing the impossible, taking the risks, feeling unsafe and doing it anyway. All the things that your brain needs to flip that switch from survival to success. Call that flipping on the success switch in your brain. We're going to be unpacking that this week. But as you're writing in there, I want you to say, is it really money? Or is it what money creates? All right, now I get to put my glasses back on. Worry-free life. Isn't that interesting? Money, we associate it with worrying less. I was telling VIP, I personally know people that were very, very wealthy and ended up committing suicide. In fact, almost all of us could look back and say, oh yeah, I heard that story, or I heard that story, or I heard that story. Because why? Because they thought money was going to be the answer to happiness, the answer to peace, the answer to not worrying anymore. And unfortunately, because they did not flip from survival to success, heartbreakingly, they're no longer here. So what is it that you really want to create? Is it time or is it money? Is it time or is it money? Money is a tool, Ginger says in VIP, to create it. Heather's saying, my boys are 28 and 29 this year, and they're living their best life as they know I'm ready to show them more so they can thrive. Yeah, that doesn't stop, does it? Doesn't stop. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. All right. I just wanted to talk about that time versus money, because really it's about making meaningful goals. A lot of times we just repeat what we think is the next thing to accomplish. Well, so-and-so guru says I should want a six-figure business. So on the top of my goals is create six-figure business. What's really behind that for each of us is very, very different. Can I tell you, you are a special unicorn. I always say I'm not a special unicorn, but actually you are a special unicorn, meaning what makes my goals meaningful and what makes your goals meaningful is two different things. But yet we put someone else's goals on the top of our goal sheet and we never sit and think about what makes that meaningful. I think about my friend Stu. You might know him, Stu McLaren. He and I were talking about this meaningful goal, and he had this desire to, like, yes, make more money, so that this is what I want to start teaching you. Add so that after what you're wanting. So that what? He wanted to build this barn. And it wasn't because he wanted a barn, right? It's because he wanted what the barn could give his family, these experiences, basketball net, parties, things. And he's like talking to Amy, his wife, and he's like, I want to build this barn. And he's trying to enroll her. And she's like, I just don't see it. Have you ever had that in your family of origin or the people around you? You have these big goals and you're like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, I just don't see it. Not in this room, actually. This is the power room to be in. So Amy's like, I just don't see it, Stu. Like, what? I mean, it's a barn, right? That's for horses. We're not going to get horses, are we? Like, she just couldn't capture the vision. And I don't know about you. I'm the only entrepreneur in my family. Anybody else? Only entrepreneur. So we're just like, by nature, we think differently than everyone else in our families. And we go to these family events and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, how do I really want to answer that question? So why am I telling you that? Because here's what Stu did. Stu went, all right, I know I got her to catch my vision. She'll see it. So they have a friend that has a barn. And he said, hey, can I throw a party? And he kind of sets up the whole barn like he would want it at his own place. And the kids were over there playing basketball and tossing ring times, playing bocce ball. And the parents are socializing and they're dancing. And Amy comes over and pulls him over and says, I get it. Meaningful goals. Meaningful goals. That became a meaningful goal to her. And then, of course, yes, the barn is built and it's really, really cool. But I want you to have permission to dream about meaningful goals. Because the goal setting system, as you know, it's been broken, mostly because we borrow other people's goals and then we use the wrong system. But what starts to help your brain allow success instead of flipping it into survival all the time is telling it the language that the brain needs for success. And it starts with meaningful goals. I was at a mastermind not too long ago, and we were sitting around talking about what the 7-figure, 8-figure, all the goals we were talking about, what it was creating. And for one person, it was creating travel all the time. They wanted to be somewhere different all the time. Another person wanted to build a house in a certain location and be able to go live every single day so that they could, create this experience for their clients. Another person wanted to start an entire nonprofit. Yet we use old systems that take all of that and throw it in the trash and just say, create my 6-figure business. So I want you to start to think about why you want what you want. And this is not another one of those motivational, why is it? Let's go. Why? We take you through a process in the 67-day year around that. But the beginning to show your brain to allow success is to tell it why, is to tell it why this goal matters to you. Because, and here's what I want you to write down. This is a writer downer. Your brain needs to believe it in order for you to see it. Write that down. Your brain needs to believe it in order for you to accomplish it. It's not going to happen unless your brain believes it. So your brain needs to believe it in order for you to see it. Okay, did you write that down? Say, I wrote it down. Say, I wrote it down. Okay, wait a minute. There's more to that. This is the part that I learned in the PhD rooms that they couldn't wait to get rid of me because it was solving my problem. And it's this. Your brain does not need to see it in order to believe it. Wait a minute. Like what I just said to you, and we will unpack this over these 9 days, but what I just said to you is the secret. If I was going to go marketing on you, this is the secret thing. This is the secret sauce. This is the thing nobody's telling you. This is the missing puzzle piece. Why? Because your brain has to believe it in order for you to see it. That's why you feel like you've been on the other side of a tug-of-war rope with a bully on the other side. Because your brain is saying, you don't believe it. I can't let you see it. You don't believe it. I can't let you see it. Well, how do I believe it? We'll talk about that. That's over this week. We're going to teach brain-based belief and how to build it fast. Brain doesn't need to believe it. It needs to believe it, but it doesn't need to see it in order to believe it. I don't have to have it in my world in order for your brain to believe it. That's good news. Somebody write, that's good news. Because we are taught in school, better see it to believe it. You know, and this is going to be close to you. You're going to feel like, ooh, that's me, because we're waiting for the sales to validate our confidence so that we believe that we're worthy to go sell to more people. Ouch, right? Ouch. If that hit you right here, we're waiting for like, once I get a sale, that will validate that I have something to offer. No, your brain needs to believe it in order for you to see it. But your brain doesn't need to see it physically in your field of influence before you believe it. So we're going to power in this together over the next few days. We're going to show you how to hyper speed belief into your brain so that confidence skyrockets, right? Confidence, if that is going to be a powerful new thing for you, to walk into a sale, to walk into offering your products, your coaching, your whatever it is, and your brain starts to believe it. I've been scrolling so fast, I need to actually pull back. Okay, a couple ouches, but I want you to feel what it would just take a moment and think about, if I actually believed it wholeheartedly, so much so that my brain is showing me this picture and I think it's real. I think I can almost touch it. How much more confidence will you have to step into making an offer? How much more confidence will you have to say, you know what, I can help you? How much more confidence will you have to say, you know what, I'm going to start writing that book. I'm going to step on that stage. I'm going to offer my service. I'm going to offer something I learned last week, but I've mastered it. Because why? Because your brain will believe it, then you'll start to see it. But you don't need to see it first. And when we unhook you from that old broken model, speed happens. Because I'm no longer hooked to what I see in my environment, in my bank account, in my friend group, in my family group that doesn't even have a business, and they don't know what we think about it. They don't know that entrepreneurship is self-development on steroids times 10. Like, they don't know. But they're not the one that needs to know. Your brain needs to believe it in order to see it, but it doesn't need to see it in order to believe it. Can I get an amen to that? And I always get this question, but I don't know who it is because I don't see your name. But here's the greatest news of all. But Shannon, I've gone through a lot. Shannon, I've had a horrible experience. Shannon, I've got trauma. Shannon, I've had this stuff. Whether you had the best, the worst, or somewhere in between your past, the great news is, unless there's damage there, which I don't think that's the case, you can train your brain to believe it so that you see it. The great news is we don't have to go scuba diving back into it in order to unhook and unleash and flip that success switch on. Say yay in the chat to not deep diving back into that anymore. I mean, I don't know about you. There's no diss to counselors. I didn't go that way because the brain has a way to actually remove limiting beliefs. Did you know that? Well, what are limiting beliefs? They're based on stories of the past that have been repeated so much, and trauma and experiences that have now created a pattern in my brain that says, I don't, I can't, I'm not, I won't. We're going to unhook you and unleash you from that this week. Who is excited about that one? Who's ready to be done with those limitations? Say bye-bye, limitations. Because I got news for you. Right where you are, the goals that you have right now, when we unleash you, you're going to go and you're going to fly. Years worth of goals in 67 days. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I never knew it could go this fast. And there you will be on the edge of the next Grand Canyon going, never been here before. Limitations. Boom, we go right after them. So very exciting stuff you're going to learn this week. You got to be here live. Because we already determined together that it's time. We're really after time, that resource that we cannot replenish. I cannot get yesterday back. Yesterday is gone. But I can align with the God-given brain that I've been given and learn how it works to the point where it can accelerate my future. Now, I don't know about you, but we're serving one master or another. Either we're serving the past and repeating it, or we're aligning our brain to the future and we're creating it. But we can't do both because that ends up being a very awkward split. And ladies, you've been there, right? You've done those kind of splits where it just doesn't work so well. I don't even know if I can do them anymore. But you can't use the thinking of the past to create the generational legacy level of the future. We've got to unleash our brain to allow it. Look at you. I love this. So good, so good, so good. All right, so we're going to dive in even deeper. I want you to tell me, and this is going to be part of your action step for today because I want to wrap it up. I want to keep these strong, and I want to give you something that shifts your thinking, sees why it wasn't working before, and moves you toward acceleration, right? Acceleration, if you're going to play full out this week and a little bit of next, and you're going to actually see your goals start to happen. Some of you will hit your Q1 goals in the next 9 days. Some of you that play full out, you're actually going to get so much momentum that when you were sad and depressed and thinking about changing your goals, you will actually accomplish them in these next 9 days. Now, I can't promise that because that requires you playing full out, requires you leaning into the fear instead of away from the fear. And some of those things we'll be talking about. Some of you are going to get so much acceleration in this 9 days that you will then continue on with us afterwards, and we'll offer that opportunity. But here's what I want to leave you with. Some of you have been around, you've heard me say this. Peer-reviewed research has shown. Now, let me be clear, if I ever say anything sciencey, I try not to because then it gets to be too heady. But this is science worth saying. Peer-reviewed. That means 50 plus scientists have taken a theory and reproduced the same results. Okay? So that doesn't mean I have an idea and I'm now saying it's scientific. That is not science. That is, we'll just leave that alone. There's been a lot of craziness with that lately. So there's that. And then not only that, peer-reviewed, but they have to end up getting the same results, and it has to be over a certain amount of time. Why am I telling you all this? Because my favorite DNA research that has finally been formally peer-reviewed and longevity studied is this. Your DNA, my DNA, everyone who's live on VIP, everyone who's live here in the interwebs, we all have 99% of our DNA is identical. Which everybody goes, nah. I'm like, yes, isn't that crazy? We think and we have different experiences and certainly culture and all of those things, but DNA down to the fiber, which is actually, well, I'm not going to get off course. So pretty powerful when you read these studies though. But the 1%, and this is what I want you to lean into, that 1% difference between us is not repeatable. Meaning my 1% is not your 1%, your 1% is not her 1%. Yet we're out there looking at somebody else saying, you're getting it, so I can't. What? Like your 1% is your 1%. The richest place in the world? The graveyard with all those 1% that never got out to the world. It's not repeated. So why am I saying that? What is your meaningful goal? What matters? This is your what matters most, because what we get to do tomorrow is we get to take that meaningful goal and we need to plug it into your how you accomplish and set goals so that speed can happen, so that you show your brain to believe it. And it will be so intimate to you like I told you Stu's story, right? It's so intimate to you that your brain will start to give it a picture. And we're going to develop that tomorrow. Because here's what I need you to know. The old method of wanting, desiring, and wishing, I want you to ask yourself this question. When you wrote down your goals, was it written in the past, the present, or the future? When you wrote down, I want a 6-figure business, what tense is that? Is that past tense, present tense, or future tense? Tell me in the chat. Tell me in the chat. Past, present, or future? Yeah, it's in the future. I want to give you a visual on this, and this is why your brain doesn't believe it. It's saying, I'm here in the present. The thing I want is over here, and I'm going to use my thinking from my past. And I am telling my brain every day, I don't have it, it's over there. I don't have it, it's over there. I don't believe it. I'm not sure if I can have it. I'm not sure if I'm competent enough. And we're saying all this stuff in the present for a future thing. And our brain is going, wait, I don't believe this. So you're not seeing it. So the language of the brain, we're going to talk about this in brain prime. So I'm not going to get too far in advance. Not even going to tell you language of the brain. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But here's what I want you to see and hear. I need you to really define a meaningful goal. So if you wrote a goal down in January, I want you to look at that and ask yourself, why? Why is that important? What does that create for me? What does that make possible for me? What am I trying to create that for? Who am I trying to create that for? Because this is the language of the brain, part of it, not all of it. We'll unpack more of it. And guys, this isn't affirmations. This isn't a lot of those well-meaning processes that are not actually aligned with how the brain unleashes results. How many of us have repeated affirmation after affirmation but never believed it? So therefore, we never embodied it. Some of us, well, I've written it in the present tense, but we're still taking actions based on the past. So we'll dive into that. But think about your most meaningful. What is the one thing you want to accomplish this year? This is how I want you to start. And then why do I need to do that? Why does it matter? Who does it matter to? Why is it meaningful? Just really dive into making it meaningful. So this is what we want to do for tonight's action step. Now, if you're not in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group and you haven't signed up for this live event, make sure you go to 67 Days to Success and get registered. Now, most of you are already registered, so you're good to go. And you've had access to the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group. Get in that room, because that room is where I'm going to be giving away things over the next 9 days that are going to actually give you time. So I'm not going to give you TVs. Those take time away. I'm not going to give you just cash to Amazon because that keeps you scrolling. But I'm going to look at who's taking the action, who really wants to accelerate their results, who really wants to go to the next level, who really is doing this. And my team and I, we're going to be watching you show up live. So make sure you're here live, and then we're going to watch you take your action steps. And then we're going to go in and reward people with things like, I don't know, anybody here not like to cook but have to? Maybe meal service for a week, maybe a massage, maybe having somebody clean your house so you don't have to. So you can start thinking about, how do we get my time back so that my energy is focused on what matters most? So sit down with a piece of paper. But here's my challenge to you. I want you to go live in the group. What? Okay, some of you are like, okay, I'm out. But you've never been in a room with such high performers, high achievers that are rooting for your victory. So if you're going to go live anywhere, this is the room to go live with. I'll give you an out, but I don't want to give you an out. So here's what I want you to do. Here's my meaningful goal. And I just want you to tell us your meaningful goal. This is what I want to accomplish. And this is why I want to accomplish this. This is why it matters most. That's the only action step you need to take. Now, if you want to write it on a piece of paper and go, this is it. Okay, I can give you that, and you can take a little picture. but I'm going to really encourage you to go live in the group. Why? Because me and my coaches are in there live, and we're going to keep helping you develop it, make it deeper. We're going to serve you deeply in that meaningful goal, get it to a place where your brain really can start to believe it. So it pays to play full out. Does that make sense? Now, tomorrow, I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything. Nope. Okay, so tomorrow is where we're going to start to unpack the system that does work in a speed economy. So there's teaching your brain to believe it. We're going to continue on with that. But then we're also going to teach you the system of 67-day year method. This is a method that got unpacked for me inside these PhD rooms. And without continuing, because it's going on for a while, I'll just tell you this. Like, here was one concept here was one concept here, in all different rooms. And I kept asking, hey, wait, can we move these together to remove limiting beliefs? And they would say, shh, stay in your lane. I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, but I have limitations I want to remove. I have like dreams I want to build belief. And they're like, yeah, we don't do that. So they weren't in the business of solving problems. I was in the business of solving my problem of capped income. Okay. So that's why I was like, I'm going to start doing these things together and see if that actually happens, if anything works. And it started working. And I started removing limitations. And this is where I'll say I'm not a special unicorn. I'm like, man, if this happens for me, what about my clients? So I brought it to my clients. And like I said, their business is boom, 6, 7, 8 figures. I'm like, okay, we all need to know this, because this shouldn't be the elite, the few, the small group that knows how to remove limitations and build a prime so that they brain believes it. This should be accessible to you. And that's why we're doing this live event. That's why we're doing this live event. Now, I also, at those rooms, saw the fact that the entire manifesto of how the brain wires any success, any results, also in scripture. So I was also the other weirdo that was like, oh my gosh, that scripture, it's there, it's already there. Now, if you're not somebody who believes the Bible, that's okay. I'm just saying it's a kingdom principle that works whether you are in kingdom or you're not in kingdom, doesn't matter. Because how your brain wires and allows success, you actually have to tap into. So tomorrow we're going to unpack the 67-day year method. How do I accomplish a year's worth of goals in 67 days? What are the actual steps? I'm a step-by-step girl. I don't want concepts. I don't want good ideology. I want to know, tell me what to do, because over here you knew what to do: specific, measurable, attainable, all the things, but your brain never believed it. So tomorrow we're going to unpack the 67-day year method so that you can start to see how your brain will believe it and how fast it can go. So tonight, make sure you do your action step in the group. Remember, we're going to be rewarding people live. You got to show up live, do those actions. And as I wrap up, I just want to leave with this one thought. You know, it is the end of the quarter. And this story that I want to tell you was profound to me when I was kind of in your shoes learning and felt like there was a glass ceiling. I call it the entrepreneur glass ceiling. Like you can see past it, but you don't seem to get past it. And I was getting so frustrated because I'm a smart person. Why can't I figure this out? Amen. Have you ever figured that? Like felt that way? I'm smart. Why is it like somebody just tell me what the steps are? Like, give me that magical piece that you got that you're not letting anybody know, right? And every time I wouldn't hit a goal, it would just sting a little bit more. And it would take my confidence a rung lower. And I heard this story during the concentration camps, and I'm going to ask for permission to tell you a story that I hope lands with you like it landed with me when I finally said no more. It is my time, and I will learn how to train my brain to allow success. And it's hearing this story about the concentration camps where they didn't necessarily do brutal, well, here's what they did. They would bring in a prisoner of war and they would ask him a question and they wouldn't answer the question. So they would cut him and they'd send him away and they go off, and then they come back an hour later and they would ask him again and they wouldn't answer. And so they'd cut him. And so this went on for hours and for days and for months sometimes. And they had a plaque. I know this is intense what I'm telling you. I realize that I'm like probably this could be a little bit like, Shannon, why are you going here? We were so motivated 2 seconds ago. But there was a plaque that said this, all the names of the prisoners of war who died. And it said on the top, death by 1,000 cuts. Death by 1,000 cuts. And I don't know about you, but I'm not willing for my dreams to keep dying. I'm not willing for the vision, the calling, the God-given desire to help people to continue these cuts of not getting it, not making it happen, not seeing it, and then have my confidence just keep going in that place. Because I can tell you right now, you didn't have the tool. That's it. It's just, you had the wrong tool. Imagine you're in a race with a Lamborghini, and over here you're given access to the cart and buggy. It's not that the cart and buggy isn't a way. I mean, can you get results the old way? Yes, but it takes a long time. So tell me in the chat, old system is the cart and buggy. Doing it, aligning with your brain to allow success, learning the 67-day method, that's getting the keys to the Ferrari. But you do have to make a choice which vehicle you get in. So you see, so I'm calling to you to make a choice right now, to no longer have your dreams die by 1,000 cuts, to no longer get in the slow, arduous, grinding, dirty, dust in your face, constantly going slow in that buggy, but choosing the Ferrari. But you got to choose one. So I'm going to ask you, because if you're choosing to stay the same, then the next 9 days, 8 days aren't going to help much. But if you're ready to shift the gear into that Ferrari, to actually have the system that takes you to those dreams so that you can see you had it in you all this time, and now you get to unleash for 67 days to create a year's worth of goals, that you become aware that anything is possible. So as we're wrapping up, I want to know, is it cart and buggy or is it Ferrari? Which one are you going to choose? Tell me in the chat so that I know who is making that declaration. And then tonight, make sure you go in, do your action step. I want to see you. My coaches want to see you. I want to hear your dreams and your desires, your meaningful goals. Go in and make your declaration. We're going to build on that tomorrow as you learn the 67-day year method. I adore you. I went an hour. I tried to do 30 minutes. Tomorrow we will be super bright and fast. I see all of you going in, drive in your Ferrari. So let's get in that Ferrari tomorrow and let's get you the results. Not only that you deserve, but that you are created to accomplish, so that others can see what's possible and legacy can be created. All right. I adore you. I will see you tomorrow. VIP room, 11:30. So upgrade to VIP if you want to be in that room and get some hot seat coaching with me. And for everybody else, we'll be back here, right here live tomorrow, 12 noon. The countdown timer will be there, and we'll be breaking down, how do I accomplish a year's worth of goals in 67 days. Until then, I'll see you in the Unleash Entrepreneur Facebook group. Bye.